everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Kendra Morgan and I'm super excited to be a part of the Team Tiny Under the Sea video hop featuring 7 Kids Crafts Bubble Babies digital stamps. The hashtag for today's hop is hashtag Team Tiny Under the Sea, and you'll find that down at the very top of the description box below. So if you click the hashtag, it's going to take you to all the crafters that are creating and participating in this particular hop. Today I'll be sharing a shaker card that I made using these adorable mermaid stamps and the products that you see here. Links to the 7 Kids Craft store where you can find these digital stamps are listed in the description box below. A listing of all the supplies that I used for this card are listed on my blog, which is also linked below. To get started, I'm taking the Mermaid scale stencil and applying some pixie spray to the back. This is a low-tack adhesive that holds the stencil in place. I'm using a box to apply the adhesive to keep it from getting all over my work surface. I'm placing the stencil on top of some distressed watercolor cardstock. I wasn't sure if I was going to be adding water to this background when I first started, and I ended up not doing that, so you could just use regular smooth cardstock instead of the watercolor paper. The colors of Distress Oxide inks that I'm using are Seedless Preserves, Mermaid, Lagoon, and Peacock Feathers. I wanted to use the same colors in the background as the colors in the mermaid tail. So I started out with Mermaid Lagoon first and then Peacock Feathers. This is my first time using the domed foam applicators from scrapbook.com, and I have to say that they're amazing. I applied another row of Mermaid Lagoon and then the purple at the bottom, which is Seedless Preserves. My YouTube channel is fairly new and this is my first ever video hop. But to tell you a little bit about me, I've been crafting for over 15 years, but my card making obsession started about 5 years ago, which is when I switched careers to being a teacher. I was a business owner for over 10 years, where I made and sold aroma beads and other fragrance products. I first started out on eBay and then later on a website that I built. So let me pause my story and tell you what I'm doing here. While the Distress Oxide ink is still wet, I'm applying sticky embossing powder to the entire surface and then applying heat with my heat gun. I've sped this process up quite a bit. It definitely takes a lot longer to do this. Now, I thought I had some regular glitter in a turquoise color that I could apply to the top of the sticky embossing powder, but I couldn't find it, so I ended up just adding embossing glitter in sea glass color. I think if I had added the embossing glitter directly to the distress ink while it was still wet, it might have been too much. But I love glitter, and some would say you can never add too much sparkle, but this just added a little bit of sparkle without taking away from the colors in the blended background. Now onto the stamps. I took the PNG files that were included in the digital stamps from 7 Kids Crafts and opened them up in Silhouette Studio, which is a free software program that I just downloaded. I don't have a Silhouette machine, but it's pretty user-friendly and not too terribly difficult to figure out how to resize images and overlay the different objects. For this card, I'm coloring the baby mermaid and the treasure box with the shells and seaweed. I have additional cards that I made with the other images you see here, and I will show those to you at the end of this video. I'll be posting video tutorials for these as well at a later time. A list of the Copic marker colors that I used is in the description box below. So jumping back to the story about my business, I ended up selling it because it grew so much that it became more than what I could handle. I know some of you are probably like, what? She had a business working from home and she sold it to become a teacher? You may think I'm crazy, but let me tell you why. I was working more than 60 hours a week and I never truly had any time off. I outgrew my garage and ended up having to move to a larger workspace, and then eventually outgrew that place and had to move again. I had employees that were helping me, which was great, but I found myself not really enjoying it anymore. I was stuck doing the managerial things, dealing with problems, and just didn't have a passion for it anymore. It was a wonderful opportunity for me to be able to work from home and raise my kids while they were little and have some flexibility, but I just wanted to do something different. Luckily, I was able to sell the business to a couple with a little girl who wanted to be able to have that same flexibility. I went back to school, finished my bachelor's degree, and was able to get a teaching job within a few months after graduating. The timing was perfect. They bought my business in July and I started teaching in August. So ever since I became a teacher 5 years ago, I've had time to work on my cards. I have a passion for paper crafts, which is why I started sharing my creations on Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest. Like I said, I just recently started my YouTube channel and also started a blog and a website. So check it out and let me know what you think. I just recently bought a Brother Scan and Cut, this week in fact, and I'm so excited. And this is what I'll be using to cut out my colored digital images. I'm still learning about my new machine, and I want to apologize for the angle on this video. I have my machine in a different room sitting on a glass table, so I was having trouble getting my camera in just the right spot. But I also wanted to mention that I made a video on how to work with digital image files in Silhouette Studio, but it ended up being much longer than what I thought it would be. So I decided not to include it in this tutorial video due to time. But I will be posting this video later to my YouTube channel. So if you're new to using digital stamps and would like to learn how to do this, be sure to click the subscribe button and check it out. What's great is you don't have to have a Silhouette machine to be able to use the program and work with digital stamps. I'm just still learning how to do everything with this Brother Scan and Cut. So I tested this out several times before recording this video, and I discovered that I needed to have a little bit of a border around the objects, because the first time I did this, it actually cut out the little lines inside the bun of the mermaid. So this time I expanded the border to 0.04 inches. For those of you that shop at Michael's, I wanted to show you this heavyweight cardstock that's 110 pounds that's great to use for card bases. It's by Recollections, and it's ocean colors that you see here. These match the Distress ink colors very well. The top dark color matches Mermaid Lagoon, and the second one matches the Peacock feathers. These are some of the backgrounds that I made for the additional cards that you'll see at the end of this video. The middle one was made with Colorcraft Brusho Colors, which is a pigment powder you can sprinkle onto wet watercolor paper to make quick and easy backgrounds. I used emerald green and cobalt blue. You can find these at the 7 Kids Craft Store, which is linked below. The other background was made with Distress Oxide inks using a smooshing technique. I'll be posting videos on how I made both of these backgrounds later, so be sure to check back soon. So now I'm just taking my background and trimming it down to 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And I'm cutting my card base and scoring this at 4 1/4 down the middle. I received a tip from Marie, who is another creator that's in the Team Tiny group with me, from Marie's Vermont Creations, and she told me that when folding your card base, place it in your scoreboard in the corner so that it lines up as you use your bone folder to crease. I always had trouble getting the edges to line up just right, so thanks for that great tip, Marie. This works so much better. So I'm taking the circle die that I'll be using to cut out the center of the background, and I've placed it to see what colors I need to color the sentiment with, because it will be showing through the shaker window, and I want them to be the same as what's on the background in that placement, making sure that all of the white on the cardstock is colored. I forgot to mention at the beginning of this video that I used Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock to print my digital images on. Distress Oxide inks blend really well on this cardstock, and it's not too thick to go through my printer. Now I'm taking my Distress sprayer that's filled with water and adding a few water drops and patting it dry with a paper towel. After applying the heat gun to allow the ink to dry, I'm trimming around the edges with my Tim Holtz 5-inch scissors that I also bought at 7 Kids Crafts. It doesn't have to be in a perfect circle because it's going to be glued on the top of the card base but behind the background. I want to make sure that my circle die is centered and that I have plenty of room to add my mermaid and my sea scene around the shaker window, and I'm taping the die down using some washi tape. I ran this through my Big Shot die cutting machine. So now I want to show you the components for making the shaker card. I have the shaker pouch window from My Favorite Things Stamps that will be placed behind the background. The frame for the circle that I'm using is the porthole die, which has been discontinued, but you can just use the regular circle frame die that comes in the circle shaker window and frame Die-namics set and just add the holes. I have the Mermaid sparklets by Buttons and Galore and More that contain sequins, see-through glass, droplets, stars, and pearls, and these go inside the shaker window. Now you'll notice that I marked where to place the sentiment on the base using the squared off edge that I purposely left there to use as a guide to glue it down using Nouveau Deluxe adhesive. Now I'm using 1/8 of an inch score tape, which is a double-sided adhesive that you can purchase from 7 Kids Crafts to attach the shaker window to the background. This is kind of tricky placing this around the outer edge of the circle, but I wanted to use a strong adhesive to keep the shaker window in place. I found that liquid glue and tape runners don't work as well as the score tape. I almost screwed up when I went to pick up the shaker window and laid it down on the base, but luckily it wasn't stuck. I had to blow out the little cuts of cardstock that somehow managed to get inside my shaker window every time I make a shaker card. I applied the double-sided tape again along the edge of the plastic shaker pouch piece. So because I take my time doing this, I decided to speed this up quite a bit. Again, I'm using Nuvo Deluxe Adhesive Glue to attach the background. This is my new favorite liquid glue because it dries clear and pretty fast, but gives me a little time to get the placement just right. I almost screwed up again though and added the glue to the background before adding my sparklets. But luckily, I still had enough time to get the pieces in there and glued down the background. I glued down the shaker window frame, and I'm just trying to move the little sparklets around to get them to where you can see the sentiment well, and I'm placing 3D foam squares in different sizes along the backs of my mermaid and my under the sea scene. I've had these little starfish embellishments that I purchased on eBay a while back, and I am adding these down with some glue dots. And to finish off the card, I added a little bit of Wink of Stella in clear to the tail to give it a little bit of sparkle. I didn't like how you could see the background through the portholes, so I added some Stickles glitter glue to the holes that were shown. So here's my finished card along with the 3 other cards that I made using these adorable mermaid stamp sets from 7 Kids Crafts. I'll be posting videos on how I made these other cards very soon. Thank you for participating in the Team Tiny Under the Sea Hop. Make sure you click that hashtag down below and check out the other amazing creators that are participating. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to those videos as well. A link to the 7 Kids Crafts website and a link to their Facebook page is posted in the description box below. Please follow me on Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook at Cards by Kendra. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day.